Hi, this is Kathy from Moving with Presence Yoga Therapy. What I'd like to offer you today is just a short practice to help release tension through your hips and your lower back and to help you feel more grounded. So for this practice, you'll need some kind of a chair, a couple of blocks, a strap or a bathrobe tie, and some kind of a blanket or a bath towel would work. So we're going to begin lying down with your legs up over the chair. So you'll take your chair and bring it onto your mat. And now I like to put my blanket, if you have a metal chair like I do, I like to take the blanket and place it over the top of the chair because the metal can be a little cold on my legs. So you could do that, and then if you also needed a blanket or pillow under your head when you lay down, you'll want to have that handy. So you'll sit in front of your chair seat here and get kind of close to the chair and then lie onto your back and swing your legs up onto the seat of the chair. Now you could use a couch for this, an ottoman. It doesn't have to be necessarily a chair to do this. And again, if you want to have some support under your head for more comfort there as well, that's great. So the backs of my knees are just touching the edge of the chair seat here. Just taking a moment to bring your hands to your mid-torso, letting the elbows relax alongside on the floor. Eyes can be open or gently closed. And just feel how your body is supported on the surface. The legs on the chair, your hips and torso, arms and head relaxing on the floor. Making any little final adjustments that you feel might be helpful to find yourself just 10% more comfortable. Perhaps with your hands on your mid-torso here, you can feel the breath moving through your torso under your hands. The inhale, there's a little bit of rising of the torso, and the exhale, a softening and settling back. Just allow your breath to be natural on its own. Feeling the sides of the neck and the jaw relax. Sensing a softness through the muscles of your eyes, eyebrows, forehead. Sensing your whole head just relaxing onto the surface underneath. Feel a sense of yielding of the body to the earth. Breath naturally flowing in and out. Breath is slow and gentle through the nose. We'll stay here just for a few more breaths, just to allow there to be a bit of release, a little settling. Now this practice of legs on the chair can be done independently all on its own. Or you can combine it into a more active practice. And after your next exhale, remember you can pause the video here if you want to stay a little bit longer in this position, which is lovely. Otherwise, we're going to slowly bring the knees in towards your belly. rolling off to one side. And just using your hands on the floor to help you come up briefly. We are going to be coming back to lie on your back, but just coming up so that you can take your chair away if it was on your mat now. We'll be using the chair in a little while, so keep it handy. And then again, we're going to lie back down onto your back and have your strap handy. So coming back onto your back, stand your feet on the floor so the knees are bent towards the sky. And again, you can have your hands on your mid-torso or arms alongside your body, wherever is comfortable for you. Bring your right knee in towards you and extend the right leg up towards the sky, keeping a little bend in the right knee. And I'd like you to practice rotating your right leg, your upper leg, in the hip socket. So this rotation is coming from the head of the thigh bone where it meets in the hip socket of the pelvis. The idea here is that when we're moving the thigh into rotation, the pelvis is staying quiet. So in other words, as the leg rotates, we're not shifting or tilting or tucking the pelvis. Pelvis just stays relaxed, and we're moving the leg internally and externally in rotation. And then we'll go ahead and take the right ankle to the left knee. So all the while that we do that, we want to maintain or foster or nurture that quiet pelvis. All right, so you have your right ankle crossed over your left knee here. And then I'd like you to bring your right thigh, knee a little closer towards you and then press it away. So the leg comes a little closer and then it presses away. Now as this movement of the leg is happening, moving in a range here where your pelvis, again, doesn't swivel or tilt or tuck. What we're working with here are the muscles around the hip, and we want to nurture the muscles of the hip rather than the lower back muscles overworking to tilt the pelvis. Now, let's take the arms along the floor here, keeping the right ankle to the knee, and then take a little twist. So you're going to move your legs to the left, keep the left foot right where it is. Take your legs a little bit to the left so the right side of your pelvis is coming off the floor. And then roll the pelvis back to center. And let's do that 2 more times. So take your legs, this configuration of your legs to the left. Your right shoulder, both shoulders actually stay nice and relaxed on the floor. And just moving in a range here where the shoulders aren't bracing or tensing. And this is just a nice little twist for the area of your abdomen and really nice for the muscles around your hip. Then bring your right foot back to the floor and pause. Take a couple of breaths, perhaps noticing any sensations through your right leg or right hip. Then we'll bring the left leg up, and let's do that again. Rotate your leg so you're spinning the leg bone in the hip socket here. You could put your hands on the front of your pelvis to just tune in to see is your pelvis moving with the leg, or can I just move the leg independently of the pelvis? And then bring the ankle over the right knee. And pausing here so your pelvis is quiet, and we're going to slowly bring the left thigh towards you and then press it away. Left thigh towards you and press it away. And again, without shifting or tilting or tucking in the pelvis, this leg can move independently of the pelvis and the spine. So just nurturing a nice little bit of hip internal and external rotation. Easy through the shoulders and the breath. And then pause Take the arms a little more out to the side. Keep the right foot right where it is, and then start to tilt or take your legs towards the right so the left side of your pelvis is coming off the floor. Now, if you're feeling grippy or bracy or tension, or you're arching your back here, you're just going a little too far. Bring your legs back to center. And let's do that 2 more times. Slowly. Can you feel your legs and your pelvis move while your ribs and your shoulders stay nice and relaxed on the floor? And then bring the legs back up, and then we'll do that 1 more time. So 3 times here. Your right foot, you're probably coming onto the outside edge of the right foot, just a bit there. And then drawing the legs back up to center. Release your left foot back to the earth. And again, just tune into any sensations through your left hip, left leg, or your breath. Now I'd like you to take your yoga belt or your strap, and if you can, if you have a yoga strap that you can make a loop in your strap, please make a loop in your strap. If you only have like a bathrobe tie, that's fine. What you'll do is you'll just take the 2 ends of the tie and bring it around your upper middle thighs. So you're going to place the strap right around the middle of the thighs, about halfway between the knees and the top of the legs. And then the width of the strap will be so that your legs are just hip distance apart here and feet are on the floor. Arms can be by your side once again, relaxing into your breath. Now, if you have a lot of height under your head at this point, like a thick folded blanket, I recommend you remove the blanket so that your head is down on the floor, because we're going to be coming into a yoga bridge pose, and it's often not necessary to have some height under your head. All right? So let's just take a nice breath, relaxing the shoulders down into the earth, and then slowly lift up into a little bridge here. So now your legs are being supported by the belt, supporting those muscles on the outsides of the hips and perhaps in the back of the legs, and then lowering back down. Let's do that 2 more times. Now when you're lifting up, you might even want to have your fingers to touch your rib points, the lower ribs, and the pinky fingers on the front of the pelvis. When you're coming up into this particular bridge pose, you're coming up congruently, so the ribs and the pelvis are lifting simultaneously. In other words, we're not rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Coming back down, so as you're lifting up, you're maintaining the natural curve in your spine. It's lifting up through the pelvis and the ribs a little bit. And pause here. Feel the soles of the feet on the earth, nice and steady. Stay with your breath. And if you feel back strain, just lower down so you don't come as high, right? We don't want to go into places that increase pain. And then exhale and come on all the way back down to the floor. We'll take your strap away now. Okay, and I'd like you to roll over to your side. And we'll bring yourself up away from the floor now and come back into your chair. So whatever chair you were using to rest your legs on. You could do this sitting on a bolster. I'm more of a fan to use the chair just because sometimes sitting on the floor can be uncomfortable for your lower back. And we'll start with your right foot. So you're going to bring your right foot up, cross it over the left leg. And then from the bottom of the foot here, I'm going to take my opposite hand to the bottom of the foot and start to weave my fingers in between my toes. So here, I've got the tips of my fingers going in between my toes. Depending on how much tension there is in your toes or how close the toes are together, you may not be able to get all the way down to the base finger knuckles. That's fine. Just getting a little bit of finger between your toes here. And then we'll just pause, hold the ankle with your other foot, and we'll just do a little bit of flex and point of the toes. So you're gently just drawing the toes towards the sole of the foot and then drawing the toes towards the top of the foot. So really this movement is not so much through the ankle, but more through the forefoot and into the toe joints, the top of the metatarsals. So just be gentle with this. There's no reason to force or try to push. You're just giving your toes a little love here. And then go ahead and take your fingers out. And what I like to do here is bring my foot back to the floor and just take a peek at my feet. Often you'll see like some different color or blood flow in your feet. One foot may look more vibrant after that. Okay, and then we'll take the other foot up and you'll come in with the opposite hand to the sole of the foot and then weave your fingers in between your toes, just to the best you can. You can put your other hand on top of the ankle or foot here. And then we're just going to start to gently coax a little bit of flexion and extension into the toes. So you're pulling the toes gently towards the sole of the foot and then gently towards the top part of the foot. And just a few times. Again, less is more here. No need to yank or pull or have any aggression in the approach here. So just getting a little bit of nice flow of energy through your feet. And then we'll go ahead and release your fingers, bring your foot back down. And let's come up to stand. And I'd like you to stand with your chair so you can stand behind the chair here. Now, as you're standing behind your chair, I'd like you to take your left foot close to the chair and take your right foot back in a moderate stance. Now, how far back do I step for, say, a standing pose like pyramid? Well, the idea here is that we want to take this leg back. So this is my right leg. I want to move the leg back independently of the pelvis turning. What that would look like from the front. If I were to step back too far, my right side of my pelvis would turn back as my leg went back. Now, the issue with that could be that if you're trying to do this pose with your hips square to the front, you might correct your pelvis at this time by turning the pelvis forward. And what that can actually do is create a torque or a strain down through the knees and even into the feet or the lower back. So to work with what you've got available in the extension of your hip here, you're going to just stand on your left foot, take your right leg back only as far as your pelvis doesn't twist backwards, right? So that could be a very small movement, and that's fine because you're nurturing the amount of hip motion that you have available to work with for this standing pose. Okay, so we've got the right leg back, right heel is down, and then left leg is the forward leg. Now from here, I'd like you to tilt forward, bending from your hips. So you can put your hands on the chair. What we're aiming for here is not to round your back. So let me show you what that might look like. So if you were to move from a rounded spine, you would see that your spine starts to round in order for you to come into this forward bend. The idea here is that right at the top of the creases of the legs here are your hip joints, and that's where we want to bend from initially, so that you're keeping the spine long here, you're keeping the natural curves in the lower back. Now you may feel most comfortable having your hands on the back of the chair, depending on what's available to you in the movement of your hips and your hamstrings. You may want to bring your hands to the seat of the chair. This is a lovely hamstring stretch, but it's also a way to practice bending from your hips. So we'll just hold this for a moment. Stay with your breath. Now really feel the weight through your legs and feet and slowly rise back up. Step the back foot forward. Now again, we'll just practice taking your left leg back only as far as your pelvis doesn't rotate or turn or twist. So again, doesn't matter how long the stance is, just allow it to be what works for you. All right, and then consciously now bending from the hips. You can have the hand on the chair. If it feels okay to go a little bit more with the hands on the seat of the chair. Again, as long as you can be conscious that you're not rounding your spine to get there. Stay here for a few breaths in this pyramid pose. The lovely forward bend, the lovely way to release the back of the legs. And then feel the weight in your legs and feet and slowly come all the way back up to standing. Now I'm going to turn to face the front here and have my hand on the chair just for support. Balancing on my right foot here, I'm going to bring my left leg up, rotate the leg in the hip socket and bring the ankle to the knee. We did this lying down, and now I'm going to sit back into my hips, bending my right knee a little bit and sitting back through my hips. So what that looks like from the side, I bring the leg up, ankle to the knee, and then I bend from the hips go back, and the knee goes a little forward, this standing leg knee. All right, so you're gonna stay in your standing figure 4, or ankle to knee for a moment. Just feel the weight through the bottom of your foot. You might find that this is just as much about work on the standing leg as it is about getting maybe a little bit of a stretch on the bent leg hip. And then we'll come all the way back up and release your foot down. We'll do the second side now. Standing on your left foot, bring your right leg up, rotate the leg so we're not dropping the pelvis here. We're just rotating the leg. And then the ankle comes to the knee. Now we sit back into the left hip and the left knee bends a little bit. So we have that coordination there. So you're not just letting the knee bend forward, and you're not just bowing the torso forward here. So we're really getting a bend through the hip joint, the knee joint, and even a little bit into your left ankle. Just stay here for a few breaths. Really paying attention to any compensation patterns or breath holding or tension arising in the shoulders. Just means you're going a little too far. All right, and then come all the way back up into stand. Lovely. We'll take the chair aside. And we're going to come now to lie back down onto your back. And you'll want to have your blanket again. This time we'll put the blanket behind our head. So you can make the blanket as thick as you need to do that. And then you'll take your 2 blocks if you have them. Now you could also use pillows or cushions or bolsters if you don't happen to have blocks. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together so the knees will be out to the side. And then as you lie down, we'll come into Supta Baddha Konasana. So that means reclined bound angle pose. So the soles of the feet come together. Now with the blocks here, one little trick that I like to do. So the blocks are going to go on the outsides of the legs. And one thing that I like to do, which I'll come up to a little closer up view to show you, is instead of when you put the block on the outside of the leg here, oftentimes you'll have one sharp edge of the block that's just pressing into the skin of the outer knee. So if you can angle the blocks on the floor, so tilting them like this, and then the flat side, this angle, will be what meets your leg. So it really makes a difference in how your comfort of this position can be. So I turn the blocks on their like long edge there, so that when I bring my legs onto the blocks, there's a flat surface in which for my legs to rest on. Soles of the feet are together. You might feel the outside edges of the feet resting on the floor. If you like to cover yourself with a blanket here, that's always nice, especially if it's chilly. And again, you can close your eyes or keep the eyes softly open. Hands can rest on the torso or along the floor. Tuning back into the slow, easy flow of your breath. Breathing in and out of your nose. Relaxing through your feet and legs. Softening through your abdomen, your whole torso. Feeling a softness through your shoulders, arms, hands and fingers. Relaxing through your jaw, your eyes, and your whole head. Feel your whole body settling. Bring your attention down into the center of your heart. Moving your attention away from the mind and into the heart. Feel your breath rise and fall. Just taking a moment here just to cultivate a moment of gratitude for this time you've given yourself to nurture, to restore, to reconnect to yourself. Keep your breath nice and easy. And as thoughts arise, you might just invite your attention back to the flow of your breath. Now you can stay here as long as you have time for. Pausing the video if you like. And when you feel ready, you can slowly bring the knees up. Take the blocks aside. And then roll over gently to one side, using your hands to bring you back up away from the floor. You can bring your hands together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra, this gesture of honoring yourself. Thank you for taking some time to practice with me today. I honor you. Namaste.